Good morning. So I'm good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I hope everyone had a good morning so far. Has had a good day. Um, Maybe we just start by just getting ourselves in a comfortable place. I don't know. I think that ultimately we're going to be in a experience today that's going to be a little interesting. Is maybe about the mask. It's going to be maybe some questions that you have. It's going to be about um, how your experience was, the thinking and creating the mask that you created, and maybe you're still thinking about it. Maybe that video, if you haven't seen the video, maybe this idea of what these masks are, what they're doing, and how we're operating them even today. So, with this digital experience, I don't get to like look you in the eyes, unfortunately, but I'm doing my best to be as present with you as possible. So, if there are any questions, I'll be looking for those. But I'm just gonna kind of tell you about the Million Mask movement, and I wanted to kind of update you on where it is in the work. So, you may say, "What is the Million Mask movement?" Well, this summer, some young men in our program. Well, maybe I should go back a little bit. So I run a program called Ever Forward. Ever Forward is a youth development mentoring program, really supporting young men around social emotional development, supporting teachers, parents, educators, youth workers, and even sometimes corporate teams to really learn how to build connection with their teams, helping teachers build connection with their students. And this summer we had a social emotional leadership academy, and in that academy, we had the young men to help us to reimagine our original campaign, which was a 100,000 mask challenge, to the Million Mask movement. And because people all over the world are wearing masks, I mean, mostly for personal protection masks. But I think that now that we can actually see the masks that people are wearing, for some, it's actually making it easier to recognize, man, maybe we were wearing masks all along. Maybe there's this piece of cloth that I have covering my face now that keeps people from really seeing my expression or what I'm maybe feeling in the moment. But what different was it before? Maybe now I don't have to pretend that I'm smiling all the time because no one can even see it. So I can just be maybe deeply connected to this idea of this metaphorical mask is this idea that I have to show up as having all the answers, strong all the time. And with the world being such a wild place that it is today, that could be difficult. And so I find myself having to breathe a lot lately. I feel myself wanting to get enraged by all the things that are happening in our world. Maybe you feel that. Maybe not even in our world. Maybe if you say even in our country, or when I say our country, where I live in the United States. So here in the United States, I find myself having to breathe a lot, take deep breaths. The humanity that is it's so fragile. It's been fragile in the history of the country with racial issues. But with the COVID situation, it's becoming even more fragile. This virus, maybe it causes you to worry, maybe it causes you to be fearful. Maybe it causes you to keep people like even a farther than a arm's length. Maybe now you just like wave at them from over there. This education challenge that parents and students are going through, college students and graduate students and people who are in learning environments are having to go through to figure out what's happening in our world. Imagine all the things that maybe you have to think about. just for your own lives. And what about the things that you don't even want to think about, but they pop up on your feed every moment, every time you pick up your phone or you pick up your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Insta, Snapchat, whatever it is, you find noise that pulls you out for what you were doing, and then you end up in some internet search rabbit hole that you're like, what the heck? I don't believe that happened, and then time just goes by so fast. Maybe you can hear me breathing heavy in this call because I'm like, what should I say? If I'm in a room full of people, I know I can feel the body language. I can like read off of their body language if I'm making points that they're getting or if I'm not. So now I'm looking at myself. Hmm. Depending on how often you are in the Zoom world, how often have we had to look at ourselves so much? Students in school, how often have kids been forced to go to class, not only observe everyone else in their just emotional kind of well-being, but now I'm looking at myself all day in a screen. I'm looking at my home in the screen. I'm looking at my office in the screen. I'm making judgments all the time, and I think it can get tiring. So just take a breath with that. And you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not, whatever you're going through right now, just know that um, you're not alone. That there's probably someone who is probably going through exactly what you're feeling or going through, or somebody going through very similar. And what we've seen with the work around masks that we've collected from around the world, we've collected over 46,000 masks. And we're still in the early stages. I mean, our goal is a million, so we're a long way away from the goal. But the goal is not the issue. The goal is each individual person who takes this opportunity to reflect on, here's what I'm letting the world see about me. Here's the things I'm not letting people see. And then to see other mass of people who have also been brave and courageous enough to do the same. And we see that people are going through similar stuff, but we've been taught, we've been trained, we've been programmed. No one cares about your stuff, so just keep it to yourself. Just keep it to yourself. So we walk around like zombies or like cogs in the operational wheel to just keep it moving, keep it moving. I this past week, I'm not sure exactly the day. My mind is still catching up on it. When I found out that Chadwick Boseman had died, and people were around the world were shocked. Like people, friends who knew him were shocked. People who had been on movie sets were shocked. People that he had been carrying around this cancer for years, 4 years, and he just kept it pushing. He just kept it pushing. He kept it like making movies and movies and like people on the set next to him getting makeup didn't even know that he was going through this life altering thing. People were making judgments about him, about his weight and things like that is what I hear. I'm not 100% certain about it, but I heard that there was a situation where people like, what's happening with his weight? But no one knew because he just kept moving through life like he was just on a mission. You know, how do we think about those things when we're going through stuff and people to decide whether we want to share it or not to share it, to let someone know that I'm going through it or not let them know I'm going through it. In July was a rough month for my program for Ever Forward, the Ever Forward Club. This is our mentoring program for myself. On I'll tell the story as quickly as I can. So one of my young men in Ever Forward, he called me on July 1st. I saw his name pop up. I hadn't talked to him in at least 6 months to a year. Um, he was in our program when he was in high school, and so when they graduate high school, they go off and live life, and they check in once in a while. And I hadn't talked to him in a while, and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he couldn't. He could barely talk. He was talking through air, and he said, "Corona." Like he had, I was like, wait, why, stop, why are you trying to talk? Why are you trying to talk if you have this virus? Like, what's going on? Like, my mind was just kind of like, I don't have his grandmother's phone number. I don't even know how to. He said, pray for me. I don't know what your prayer life is like, but he knows that I pray, and I pray with him right there on the phone. Like, what if you were stuck in a hospital bed and the people who loved you couldn't even come visit you? You can barely talk. You have your lungs are you got a tube going down. Like all the things that I can only imagine it was in his mind was just being alone in that hospital. And so I shared it with our community, and I told people that I had gotten a call from him, and people started writing messages. And he called me back on July the 3rd, a couple of days later. I'm not having the dates really clear right now. And at that time, he couldn't say any words. I said, listen, don't talk, don't talk. So let me just read you some of the comments that your former teachers and peers have said. And I just read him about 15 comments. And I said, man, I'm gonna send this to your aunt. And a couple of days later, he died. And I didn't plan to tell this story. So that wasn't even the story I was gonna tell you. I was just getting you prepped for the other story. And so now it's already hitting me. So what happens when it starts hitting you? Like in my old self, I would just have tucked it away. You never would have I would never would have let you see me emote because I was told that men can't show feelings. And so I was emotionally unpresent to myself and definitely for anyone else. So as I was telling that story, the story I was going to tell you, the story I was planning to tell you was that a week later, um, I ended up, I don't know if you call it catching, contracting, I don't even know the right words, but I had COVID-19. And a new world of like what is going on, it came into my mind because I wear masks everywhere. Now, in my work, we tell people to take off the mask, but I've had to clarify for people. I'm not talking about the personal protection masks. I'm talking about the emotional disconnected mask that causes us to not let people know that we're going through stuff. And as I rotated it from the floor to the couch to the bed to the floor to like I just couldn't get comfortable. I was in mental challenge around what was happening. I was constantly spinning in circles. Everything was going on, and I was like, "What is going?" And I think, thank goodness, I'm clear and I've survived. They say most people will survive, but over 180,000 people didn't, and I know one of them really personally. And so, what I have come to a new realization. I guess you're hearing it for the first time here, so let me just is that Ashanti, you're gonna die. I mean, I think it's intuitive for everyone. We know that there's only one way off this planet, and that's through this process of life and death and this circle of life. And I think maybe I had been holding on to all these dreams and goals and the things that I wanted to do. That one day I'm gonna do this. I got journals all over the place. If I picked up a pack of my journal, like journals with thoughts and ideas, one day, and laying on that floor, laying on that couch, like just trying to figure out, am I gonna make it through this? I realized that tomorrow's not promised. And so I have a new fire in my belly. I heard this quote the other day that says, we all have two lives. And the second one begins when you realize you only have one. And man, I hope you're living that one where you recognize this is all we got. And so I see a question there. So thank you for the question, and I'm going to jump into that. But I just wanted to thank you all for being here. Uh, and I hope that as you're working through your own practices of just being present with the people in your lives, that you also or being present for yourself. So the question says, do you have any advice for men and boys in particular who feel unable to acknowledge their qualities written on the back of the mask? Yeah, that's a beautiful question. I'm actually I have masks all over the place, so I'm gonna show you a couple right here. So so you can see some examples. This one's a beautiful one. So I don't know the age of this person. It's a male. I'm gonna hold it up. I'm hoping you can see it, but I'm gonna do my best. I'll read it to you. So on the front of the mask, it says "smart." I can't read it behind. Keep trying and don't give up. That's what's on the front of the mask. And on the back of the mask, it says "sad, cry," and then it says "what I have inside my heart." Like this young person, this person doesn't feel that they can share on the outside what they have inside their heart. And the only advice I have for men and boys around that is, where did you get that messaging? Like, where did it start? Like, I don't, I tell people this is hard work. I think hard work, when we talk about, am I hitting the mic? Hard work is hard work. The work of the heart is hard, especially if you grew up believing that to talk about your feelings is not manly, is weak, is soft, is whatever community you grew up in. I grew up in Oakland, California. I know what I was raised by my mother. My father died before I was born. My mom taught me to be really nice and kind and loving and caring. I could cook you a four-course meal. I had all kind of skills. But when I left out of her house to the world, those skills weren't appreciated by the people on the bus, down the street, at the park. They were like, "Why are you so nice? Why are you always smiling all the time?" Like I think that depending on the messaging that you began to have, and I had my mom's world of being a good boy, a good, and then I had the world said, "Man, you better stop being like a little boy." So I say to those men and boys who are unable to acknowledge, I think that we can all acknowledge it. We may have just been blocked off from it. We may have been blocked off from those feelings. And so the first is finding that permission to feel. Now, for boys, if you grow up in a household where your parents don't let you feel, where you get told, stop crying like a little girl, so you get shamed every time you have an emotion, then a boy may not have ever permission until he becomes a man to hopefully hear the little boy in himself. So a lot of our work with young men, when we work in elementary schools or middle schools, they're at that age where you can begin asking those questions. How are you doing? Like really? Like how are you doing? And I think that if no one has ever asked you that question and really asked you and waited for you to answer, then maybe you never knew that the answer was important. So maybe I'm good, I'm cool, I'm fine, I'm okay is the only answer that matters because that's all people want to hear anyway. Maybe when somebody asks how you doing, they keep walking because they only know that you're going to answer one thing in the way. So you pass each other all day long saying how you doing to people as a greeting, but it's not really an inquiry. And so I say that part of our work is first, this activity is a really powerful tool to make a mask and recognize, oh yeah, there is stuff I'm not talking about. There is stuff that I'm not dealing with. And to find the safety in people who you can trust. And so I think the advice is really hard to give. I really just try and make it practical. Like I think first it's like being aware. If you made a mask today, if you took the time and went to 100kmasks.com and created a mask, then maybe you actually know what it felt like. Maybe if you went to that site and you're like, man, I'm not writing this up about myself. Who's gonna see this? Maybe you already felt the fear and the nervousness to like even attempt to make the mask. But what we find is with one picture and 6 words, we find that people have been really powerfully moved. And so I'm going to show you another one. This is a 17-year-old male. I'm hoping you can see this. If you can't see, if it's backwards to you, I apologize, but I will read it. But I just want you to see it first and then I'll read it. So this is a 17-year-old young male from Sacramento. And on the front, it says happiness, laughter, humor is what I show the world. And the back of my mask is sadness, anger, and pain. Sadness, anger, and pain. I don't get to talk about it. I gotta hide it. And statistically, if you just look at what's happening in our jails, Jails are 94% men. 94%. So statistically, something's going on with men. I think it'd be undeniable to say something's going on, but I don't think anything's wrong with men. I think that men have been trained as boys to hide away sadness, anger, and pain, or maybe if you can show anger. In my community, you can show anger. Anger will get you respect. Sadness and pain, you better not be hurt. I remember getting almost knocked out on the football field. Like it was a kickoff. I got blindsided. Boom. I couldn't even see. I was like, what the heck is going on? And I remember all I do remember hearing the coach, Branch, get your off the field. You gonna get a penalty. I was like, where am I? I don't even know where I'm at. Pain. You don't get to show pain. You better not say you no pain. Suck it up. Man up, they say. And I think we got to find those spaces that men get a space to be fully men and fully be human. And humans have emotions. And humans feel. So anyway, thank you for that question. I haven't seen any more questions, but I'm just gonna take this moment just to. I think someone said, "Where is Ever4 Club based?" We're based in the Bay Area, and um, we have a program where schools all over can have their own club. We're doing trainings virtually. Everything's virtual now, so it allows us to help support schools in so many different ways. So if you know a middle school or a high school that is looking for supporting their young men or boys. We do workshops similar to the workshop you went through this morning, but full workshops virtually, and we do those all over. So they can reach out to us at everforwardclub.org. There's a form to fill out if you're interested in a club or you're interested in volunteering or you're interested in being a part of the movement. So everforwardclub.org. So it's everforwardclub.org. And then there's a form to fill out if you're interested in having workshops. Now, also, we know that some schools can't afford to bring us in, and we understand that. And so what we've done is we created the Million Mask Movement as a tool that we also give away to schools. So if they go to our website, it gives them information. We'll share with them an activity guide to participate with their students using the digital version. And we know that I don't want financial barrier to be why you can't provide a space for your students to just get more real. And right now, with schools being like this, who knows how much disconnected our students are from educators? When normally they at least had a person walk up to them and say, "How you doing this morning?" And now I don't even get to have a one-on-one talk with you. I got to have a a class talk with you. So maybe I see you're going through something, but I don't want to point you out to the whole anyway. As an educator, I get into that mode a lot. So thank you all for being here. But you are able to start a club. You are able to do this work with your teams, with your students, with your community. And if you know a teacher, or if you know an educator, if you have not seen the documentary "The Mask You Live In," I would really encourage you to at least watch the trailer. "The Mask You Live In" is a narrative of American masculinity and how this hyper masculine narrative is really hurting our boys. And even though the documentary is about the United States, what we see in our work is that it's all over. What we see in masks that we've collected from over 18 different countries, in the 46,000 masks we have collected, we know that it's not just boys that are going through this emotional disconnection sometimes, that it's women too. And it's people who may not identify in any of the binary. Like there's a clarity in terms of what I can let people see and not. And I think that as we provide, as this campaign grows, and with your help, it will happen. I don't know a million people, so I ask everyone who I know, hey, would you make a mask? Hey, would you be willing to make a mask? Here's a website. Just go online. You can make a mask. So if you have not done it yet, I encourage you to. And we look forward to people opening chapters in their community to be a part of this movement. So please reach out to us as we're getting close to the end. We're on the top. I'm looking at my clock, so I'm hoping my clock matches all the clocks. We have about 4 minutes to go, so maybe we just take some couple of breaths as we thank you for. I don't want to pronounce people's names wrong, so I'm going to say thank you for those who put questions in the box. Um, Basundra and Scott. I'm just trying to make sure I say that. And any other people who wrote questions, thank you. And maybe we just take a couple of minutes just to catch our breath. I was given a maybe before we'll go into this little breathing. I'm gonna show you this last mask. I happen to have three here on my desk, so this one is really. All right, let's take a look at it. Just take a deep breath. And on the front of this mask, it says strong, smart, no worries, leader, fighter, chill, crazy, angry, and mean. That's on the front. That's what I show. It's a tiger there, right? And then the back has this flower. Overthink, worried, sad, stress. So wherever for this person, this is a male. It doesn't have an age. For these masks that you got to see today, for the masks that you may have made today, I just want to ask you to take a deep breath in and breathe out. Take another deep breath in and let go. And I invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that. If not, if you're not in a place where you can close your eyes, I just want you to repeat this phrase I'm going to say and see if it can just open your heart today. May I be safe and without fear. May I be healthy and strong. May I be happy and free from suffering. May I live with ease and joy. I'll say it one more time. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. May I be safe and without fear. May I be healthy and strong. May I be happy and free from suffering. May I live with ease and joy. Thank you for being here today. I hope that those of you that took a few minutes just to hear the sound of my voice, I want to appreciate you for your time. I believe that time is so valuable. And so my goal is for the rest of my life in this new vision of taking every moment, not taking it for granted. I hope that you will take this day and tell somebody that you care about them. Tell somebody that you love them. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they haven't heard it in a while. And so with that, I think my time is up. I don't even know how this closes, but I'll stay here forever. I got plenty to say, but I want to make sure respect everybody's time out there for just showing up. And everforwardclub.org is our organization, Ever Forward Club, and you can reach us on there. We're a small team, but we're doing work all over, and we hope that you will get involved. And thank you for someone who said they're going to share this with their team. I really appreciate that. And thank you. Every new mask gets us closer to our goal of a million masks, but even more so than the number a million, it's really about people connecting to each other and realize they're not alone. So thank you so much. There is no more questions, and I just want to say there's no more in the box that I have here. So you can always reach out to us. Our email is on the website. Have a phenomenal day. Thank you for being here.